So, do we have a tournament to run, or... Oh, who's going to be the one to tell Jiren? Hey guys, MasakoX here. The days of fusion in Dragon Ball are ones which are remembered well. It may have come at a time in the anime's history where it was a little, or a lot, surreal, but when compared with other instances within that arc, fusing two characters together doesn't sound at all like a weird idea. In fact, it's absolutely ingenious, and something that the makers of the series are hanging on to for dear life with every single brainstorming session. Who can we fuse with who? They even go so far as to make a game all about it with all sorts of characters. And that's a game you should really try and grab if you've got a 3DS gathering dust somewhere. It's a really good game. Either way, the concept of fusion conjures up fascination from all sorts of people, myself included. It's just such a cool idea, and yet so simple. But then you've got Goku and Vegeta, the two biggest characters in the series, and even though we never got the fusion of Goku and Gohan like we were supposed to get in the series, due to the fact that Toriyama had essentially run out of ideas for the latter, getting these two full-bodied Saiyans together for a quick sparring session against the big bad of this arc wasn't all that bad in of itself, and it could have easily been permanent from what we could gather, but, as we know, it wasn't. But what if it was? No bad air here. Today, we are continuing our idea about what might have happened if Vegetto was still a thing, and, apart from a brief spell earlier on, was permanent. You might have seen the title and think that this is the absolute finale. Well, it is, and yet it isn't, because we all know how fluid the future of Dragon Ball Super is. For now, we are going to cover the rest of the available anime story, or at least the time frame, as that is what the main story is that the majority of the fans will witness. There is still some stuff to cover as the journey has been pretty eventful. With Vegetto present, we saw a lot of things happening, as well as a lot of things not happening, like the majority of the Goku Black Arc, or more accurately, Vegetto Black Arc. In its place though, we had a lot of peril, as well as teamwork, from the combination of Goku's carefree nature, as well as Vegeta's strategic brain, creating a powerhouse which could not be bested. That is until the Tournament of Power shows up! In the last part, we talked about said contest, and our Saiyan Fusion got to have a lot of action come his way. We saw him tackle the likes of Kefla, and that battle of the fusions was pretty amazing. It would have looked cool animated, and something that would have inspired interest from across the board for the fact that it opened the door for most universes to do the same thing. Potara wasn't exactly scarce amongst the deities, but like in the anime, that got quickly quashed when it was clear that these two wouldn't let anyone else muscle in into their fun. We even got to have Paikon come along for the tournament, which was something I was very keen to happen, and I felt it was something that could happen as well. What also muscled in was Jiren, who sensed this power and tried to eliminate Vegetto and his dominating nature. However, the Grey Pride Trooper is totally at odds with the fusion and cannot find a way to turn the tide in his favour. As we saw against the likes of Ultra Instinct Goku in the original story, our alien dude lost his temper and totally wrecked the arena in a furore which dwarfed a small supernova probably. This then led to a beam struggle so mighty between Jiren and Vegetto that the GP had seen enough, and it's up to him to intervene and call time on proceedings. We resume our story with the GP looking quite flustered, something of which that hasn't been seen in absolute eons. In fact, some of the GODs had never seen this leader of theirs look out of sorts and surprised by something. Well, they'll never forget it. The guy did have a limit after all, and we just saw it. However, this is just a fleeting expression, as thanks to the two contestants heeding his request rather quickly, he can reassume control over the entire thing. Despite this though, his boss, Zeno, isn't happy about this.
Why did you stop the fighting? I was enjoying this!
Forgive me, sire, but that blast might have hurt you, or at the very least damaged the viewing platform. I could not let that happen for your sake. This doesn't satisfy the Omni King, a reasonable excuse, and Zeno threatens to erase the GP for ruining his fun. Now, this shocks everybody, including Jiren. He didn't think that this was a fair solution at all. Erasure? This was him saving Zeno's life potentially, and this is what he gets? Toppo, who was still in the ring after dispatching Paikon a moment ago, steps up to the plate and offers a solution.
If I may suggest something, Lord Zeno, we could continue the tournament, now that we have boundaries put in place.
The GP mulls this over, as he can see the Omni King nodding enthusiastically. He pauses for a second for dramatic effect, and then says the matchup indeed can continue. But both Jiren and Vegetto are disqualified and have to sit out the rest of the match. They cannot have what happened here just now happen again, because if Jiren could lose his temper, Vegetto could respond in kind again. It's too risky. Jiren bows his head and accepts this turn.
I apologize for my reckless behavior and accept this punishment.
The other guy, our Saiyan guy, is quite the opposite in terms of opinion.
What? It's not my fault this guy over here lost his temper. I was winning. I refuse.
The GP glares at Vegetto, as does Jiren. Without saying a word, Jiren's black eyes stare into Vegetto's soul, and after trying to outstare him back, the Saiyan fusion reluctantly complies, and the two of them skulk off to their respective stands. Beerus, like Vegetto, is quite livid that he has lost his strongest fighter, but doesn't want to appear angry in case he gets the attention of his bosses. Whis calmly whispers in Vegetto's ear, I think Lord Beerus will be having words with you later. Vegetto is understandably looking both irritated and apprehensive. With the two strongest fighters out, the tournament continues in a manner which sees Toppo from Universe 11 all alone in the arena. Confused.
My lord, am I the victor?
The GP looks down and shakes his head. You are not. There is another left in the arena that you haven't seen.
What? But I don't see anyone!
As you might be able to tell, Toppo is basically Brian Blessed. He then gets sucker punched by a stretched out yellow gloved fist before a triumphant Margin makes his presence known.
Hello! Boo back!
Boo never left the arena earlier. He thought he would decide to stick around in case Vegetto did have problems and he was needed again. But then he just kind of mulled around as a pink blob waiting for the moment to strike. Because if you're a pink blob, you're not going to be noticed if you're basically below eye height. The battle is now just between Boo and Toppo, and Boo is able to weave and dodge and actually absorb Toppo's mighty fists, and this is starting to get under the Pride Trooper's skin.
What is this monstrosity? He is mocking the art of combat? He is not acting in a just manner. How am I supposed to counter this?
A dark purple aura is consuming the trooper, and this makes Boo curious instead of scared.
Is Big Fist Man angry? Boo can relate. Boo get angry too.
I will show you!
Boo is pretty excited to see this form. Thanks to Boo's childish behaviour, this infuriated the wise Toppo and now brought out his darker side. The fight is a brutal one. Despite Boo being quite pliable and able to absorb a lot of the damage still from Toppo's now powered up attacks, he is now eventually, and understandably, starting to feel the effects. The gang can see that Boo is struggling, and what's more, Toppo has actually figured out Boo's healing ability and how to counter it.
I will not allow you to use your magic against me again, creature. You will face me and my righteous justice.
He cannot get a chance to heal now, nor can he split off. He is trapped in this battle, and he has to see this through to the end. And the end comes. And it's pretty dark. Toppo, in a last-ditch effort, and now clouded by anger and righteousness, unleashes his ultimate attack.
Hakai.
Before anyone can stop him, Boo has Hakai'd out of existence. No offshoots, no splitting. He's gone. Vegetto is left stunned. The Universe 7 team are as well. Boo. They couldn't sense his energy. He was truly gone.
Curse that blasted Margin.
Beerus, who never really saw eye to eye with the creature, felt a little somber in this moment. He recalled their first encounter and it was all over pudding, and how far he had come since then. It was a sad recollection. The God Toppo then stands proud that he had finally gotten rid of this pest. Thinking he was the winner, he turns to the GP again.
Well, am I the victor now?
The GP isn't impressed. No, you are not. You are hereby disqualified.
What? Whatever for?
Majin Buu from Universe 7 is dead. Remember the most important rule? Well, clearly not. Thusly, the victory posthumously goes to Universe 7. The gang are left dumbstruck. They won? Yeah, but the win was kinda hollow. The prize is still a wish on the Super Dragon Balls. Vegito gets the wish and requests on Super Shenron to bring back all the universes erased, as well as those ended by it. That act of Toppo's was beyond the pale. This is accepted, and the other competing teams are returned to life. But Boo isn't there. Vegito asks Whis where he is, and Whis is thankfully delighted to say that the wish did work, and that Boo is safely back on Earth. A sigh of relief comes over the gang, and a giant hand lands on Vegito's shoulder. It's Toppo, now reverted to his normal form. He apologizes solemnly to Vegito.
I am sorry for all of this. I let myself get overcome with anger. What I did was not just. It was the opposite. I clearly still have much to learn.
Luckily for you, he's still alive. Seems like you Pride Troopers are a bunch of hotheads. Jiren walks up to Toppo and takes him aside. Perhaps Jiren could teach Toppo a thing or two about managing his rage and meditation. The Universe 7 team return to Earth and come into contact with Boo, now reformed on Earth, and seemingly calm about the situation.
Boo okay now. All I remember is big purple light and then feeling all tingly. Then Boo show up here.
They then explain that he had in fact passed on for a few minutes before the Super Dragon Balls were able to resurrect him. This floors Boo. He had succumbed to that? Wow, that felt weird. Everyone laughs at Boo being weirded out by something like this, and now thankfully, there is time to relax and calm down from all that had happened. I know there is something that you're probably thinking about right now, and it's concerning somebody that you're all familiar with. What about Broly? Well, the thing about that is that without Frieza there to send Chilai and Lemmo to pick him up, and Paragus as well from Vampa, they're sort of stuck there to live out the rest of their days with the rest of the creatures on that planet. But this story is still not over yet. It's a few years later, around the time of the end of Z. We are at the World Martial Arts Tournament, and Vegito is there to take part along with his friends and witness the young Pan taking part. Wait, so there's no Bulla then? Well, sadly not. Since Vegito had been fused together since age 774, basically, Bulma and he never got jiggy with it, as it were, as it would have been too weird for Chi-Chi to handle, and vice versa. Vegito was okay with this though, as he too felt it wouldn't be right, and I don't think the inner Vegeta wouldn't want Kakarot to be intimate with his wife. All of this then leads to Oob showing up like in the original story, and the Fusion being most interested in training him up. However, unlike Goku, he offers to transport his family to West City, Oob's family, and feed his hometown as well, on Bulma's dime naturally. The young boy is mesmerised with this generosity, but there is one little girl who's feeling a spot of jealousy right now. Pan stomps up to her grandfather of sorts, and reminds him that he had promised to train her before this bozo came along. Oob doesn't want to get in the way of the family promise, but Vegito laughs this off, and says to the pair of them that what's stopping them from, training together? Remember, this isn't solely Goku we're talking about here, who doesn't like taking on multiple pupils. Vegeta's portion of this character is more than capable of taking on more than one student at a time. Pan is relieved to hear this, and instantly changes her tune, shaking Oob's hand with pleasure, and then promising not to hold back against him. Unsure how to respond to a 5-year-old vowing to beat him down, he tentatively accepts. Haha! Right answer, Oob! You should watch out for Pan now that you're here. She may be small, but what she lacks in height, she makes up more than enough for tenacity. Pan is annoyed by this, and flails her fists at Vegito's legs, one punch actually slightly hurting him, where he wasn't expecting it. This causes Oob to feel less nervous, and together, the three of them begin their training together, safe in the knowledge that Earth was safe, and that the next generation of heroes was about to come to the fore, with Goten and Trunks leading the way as well. And that's where we leave things. Thank you. So what did you guys think of this entire story? Did you enjoy this journey discussing what might happen with a permanent Vegito? Would you like to see a Moro epilogue once that arc is complete in the anime version? Leave a comment below and let's get this discussion going. And I shall see you in the next video. Catch you later!